Feel about your DMs with Drake being leaked to the world?
Oh, my DMs were never leaked. It's not my DMs.
There's a lot of people posting DMs.
I don't know why they
allegedly-
think
Y'all
about
was saying some weird shit, bro. I wasn't gonna say
Hold on,
nothing.
it-
Cause you my brother.
A
No.
lot of it
not
was
my DM.
grand, but some of it
Why
looked
was
like it
you
too,
comparing
right?
briefs?
No, what?
Now, when it comes to Mega Karen, yeah, Drake, you already know exactly why we're here today. If you're ready for us to dive into the most anti-hip-hop moves this man has ever pulled in his career, hit that like button and subscribe, because this is about to get messy. Drake has crossed a line so wild that at this point, it's either you stand with him or you stand with hip-hop itself. Show love to the culture, smash that like, and let's make sure hip-hop wins, while Lob and his whole strange crew take the biggest loss of their lives. Right now, with Drake dragging this not like us situation into court, we're seeing a level of desperation that's off the charts, even for him. And that says a lot because Drake's career has been full of messy moments. But this right here, this is something we've never seen before. The way he went about it is unreal. From dragging Kendrick Lamar's kids and family into his raps, to poking at Whitney and Kendrick's relationship history, to trying to twist things around Dave Free's DNA, and even pulling in names like Pusha T and Screwface G. This is beyond wild. Drake is throwing everything at the wall, and it's starting to look desperate, not powerful. And while all this chaos is unfolding, the grown men who hide behind fake accounts with women's profile pictures are out here cheering like Drake just won the championship. Let's be real. You OVO stans ain't fooling nobody. We know you're not women, we know what you look like, and you stay flooding timelines just to annoy everyone. It's embarrassing. And the louder you celebrate, the more obvious it gets that Drake might have just hit his lowest point yet. Well, I got some bad news for all the Drake defenders out there. Because not only is he never getting away with these wild demands and delusions, but whatever little bit of respect he had left in hip-hop, that card is officially declined. He's out the game. From now on, his title is set in stone. Last name Karen, first name Lamest, nothing more, nothing less. At this point, even the most die-hard fans who've been pushing that fake narrative that Drake is somehow doing this for the good of the industry have finally been forced to admit the truth. He's not saving anything. He's not protecting the culture. What's really happening here is a petty, personal crusade just to irritate Kendrick Lamar and anyone else who ever bruised his ego. That's the real play, and it's uglier than anything we've seen from him before. And let's be real. Just look at the outrageous stuff he's requesting in this case. The kind of details he's trying to dig up have no purpose other than stirring chaos. There's no actual reason to want this information unless your only goal is to create the biggest, messiest spectacle possible. The whole thing is nonsense stacked on top of nonsense. So much that even the sharpest minds couldn't fully process the circus he's putting on. And it's not just Drake. The crew standing behind him, validating his delusions, dragging this case along again and again. They're just as much of a mega Karen squad as he is. None of them are chasing truth. None of them are chasing justice. This is all about clout, ego, and noise. And wasn't the whole point of these systems supposed to be about fairness and finding the truth? Drake turned that into a joke. Instead of focusing on the music, Drake is out here doing everything he can to make Kendrick Lamar's life a living headache. Dragging Kendrick's kids and family into official paperwork? That's not just petty. It's messy, shameless, and downright disgusting. We've seen artists throw shade before, but this level of disrespect is on a whole different scale, something hip-hop has rarely, if ever, witnessed. And the deeper you read into this, the worse it gets. Every word exposes Drake as exactly what he is. Everybody's least favorite Karen having the meltdown of his career. This isn't even about legal arguments anymore. It reads like a temper tantrum in black and white. What's supposed to be about Not Like Us and Kendrick Lamar quickly turns into Drake whining about every grudge he's held. And it's pathetic. One of the most shocking parts? Drake openly admitting that he used his label connections to censor and silence Pusha T. Not just the story of Adidon, but everything Pusha dropped. Imagine the audacity. An artist who claims to love the culture working behind the scenes to mute another rapper's voice. And then, when the label didn't censor Kendrick, Drake's crying that it's unfair? That's entitlement at the highest level. Honestly, this is shameful not just for Drake, but for the entire industry that enabled this nonsense. How did we get to a point where one of the biggest names in hip-hop feels entitled to silence his peers just because his ego can't take the hits? It's spoiled behavior, it's selfish, and it exposes Drake for exactly what he is, a man who will bend every rule just to protect his image. And let's be real, how on earth does Drake think he has the right to censor a rapper who's been bigger, sharper, and more respected than him for their entire career when it comes to what really matters? That's the part that completely blows his cover. No matter how much noise he makes or how many excuses he drags out, this one move has permanently stained his reputation. Strip away all the fake arguments and courtroom drama, and what you're left with is the meltdown of a Karen who's been Karenin for a decade straight. The difference now? There are no more managers left to shield him, no more handlers to smooth things over, so he's lashing out and trying to burn down everything around him. And since the world is already watching, he figures he might as well destroy his own legacy while he's at it. This case doesn't just expose weak arguments, it exposes Drake himself. The ugly, entitled, and petty side of him that peers and fans have whispered about for years is now right there in black and white for everyone to see. And the wildest part? It shows something that even his biggest fans will hate to admit. Drake is straight up obsessed with Kendrick Lamar. Not obsessed like a rival, not competitive in a respectful way, but in a full-blown, unhealthy, Eminem stan type of way. Because who else sits there requesting every piece of paperwork, every scrap of history tied to Kendrick, even down to DNA tests involving his kids and his connections with Dave Free? That's not just beef, that's fixation, and it's as disturbing as it is embarrassing. And then there's the whole mess with Whitney. What Drake said about her on Family Matters, and even trying to rope in Dave Free with Whitney by demanding DNA involvement. Drake's obsession with Kendrick Lamar has spun so far out of control that he seems to care more about Kendrick's family, his kids, and their personal lives than he ever cared about his own home. That's not rivalry. That's creepy obsession dressed up as legal paperwork. And here's where it gets even crazier. The deeper you process what Drake is actually trying to dig into, the more unhinged it looks. His requests about Dave Free, Kendrick's kids, and anything tied to Whitney all circle back to the same contradiction. Everything he's chasing is based on the lyrics from Family Matters. The very track where he thought he was dropping bombshells is now being twisted into a legal excuse to snoop into their lives. But the irony is painful. Drake is using his own diss track as the blueprint for these insane requests. The same so-called gotcha lines he rapped about are now the very claims he's trying to turn into evidence. That's not strategy, that's delusion. He's literally trying to turn rap lyrics into courtroom documents, and it shows just how far he's fallen. And that's why this may be the most baffling, embarrassing part of it all. Drake is out here taking his own fabricated bars, his own disses that were never backed up with facts, and trying to pass them off in court as if they're real evidence. Imagine reaching a point where you're begging the legal system to validate the lies you spit in a diss track. That's not just desperation, it's the ultimate contradiction, and it makes this entire case look like the circus it really is. First off, let's call it what it is. Drake never had a shred of proof behind the things he was saying about Kendrick Lamar in the first place, and now it's all coming back to haunt him. This lawsuit doesn't just make Drake look desperate, it's poisoning hip-hop itself. The second you see Drake's lyrics getting flipped into legal requests to invade Kendrick's private life, you realize this isn't about music anymore. It's about tearing down artistic expression at its core. And don't think rappers everywhere aren't watching this closely. The way Drake is moving will make every artist second guess how far they go in beefs, because nobody wants their bars turned into subpoenas. Drake is requesting every detail about Kendrick's life, both professional and personal, and it's crossing a line no one expected. It's not just about record deals anymore. Drake is even demanding the exact value of Kendrick's entire music catalog. Think about how insane that is. He's reaching so far that he wants numbers on Good Kid, MAAD City like it's some smoking gun. From DNA tests to financial breakdowns, Drake's case has become a circus that has nothing to do with Not Like Us or the beef itself. All he's really doing is dragging Kendrick, his name, and his family deeper into a mess that never should have left the booth. Every time his lawyers chase these wild requests, It forces people to pry into Kendrick's world for no reason other than Drake's ego trip. And that's the clearest sign yet that this isn't a lawsuit about justice. It's an obsession gone way too far. Let's not sugarcoat it. There's no mystery here. Drake has never made it clearer that he is flat out obsessed with Kendrick Lamar. The timing is wild too. This all blowing up right around the anniversary of Control makes it feel almost poetic, like history repeating itself, only now Drake looks more desperate than ever. What we're watching play out is the ultimate grift. Drake, one of the biggest hustlers and manipulators hip-hop has ever seen, is trying to ruin Kendrick's life in the pettiest way possible. Not through music, not through bars, but by prying into Kendrick's personal life and dragging him through endless court distractions. He couldn't win with the music, so now he's whining in the courtroom, waving the Karen flag higher than ever, and it's pathetic to see. These aren't power moves. They're last-ditch efforts from a man who knows he lost the real battle a long time ago. Instead of making a great record or coming with a stronger strategy, Drake's entire focus is just to annoy and harass Kendrick in the most invasive ways possible. That's not hip-hop. That's obsession disguised as litigation. And when you stack this on top of Drake admitting he censored Pusha T, it paints the whole picture. Drake is literally willing to throw away his reputation, his credibility, and maybe even his career, just for some twisted sense of revenge against Kendrick. Think about that. He's risking it all not to elevate himself, but just to drag someone else down. That's not the mark of a competitor. That's the mark of a man who already lost. But I guess actually making a great track was too hard for Drake. And that's why we're stuck in this circus today. Sure, there's a lot more we could unpack, like the way he's even dragging content creators like Screwface Gene into this madness. But here's the real takeaway. If you're part of hip-hop or even close to the culture of music and art, you can't ignore what's happening right now. At this point, the line is crystal clear. You're either standing with the culture or you're standing with Drake. There is no middle ground. And let's be real, if you're siding with Drake, you can't honestly call yourself a fan of rap anymore. Because in the 52-year history of hip-hop, we have never seen one figure dismantle the very essence of the culture the way Drake has done through these court papers. This isn't just messy. It's historic for all the wrong reasons. And don't think the OVO stands hiding behind fake profile pictures are fooling anyone. They can scream, "Drake is winning," all day, but the receipts tell a different story. Drake literally admitted that he censored Pusha T for years, straight from his own words, and now he's mad because he couldn't pull the same strings on Kendrick Lamar. That's not a victory, that's an admission of guilt, and it proves Drake's been manipulating the game behind the scenes the entire time. Well, listen, at this point, I think all we can really do is lean on the words of Pusha T, Malice, and the Clips. Let God sort him out. Because honestly, what else can we do when Drake has turned this entire situation into one of the nastiest, pettiest meltdowns hip-hop has ever seen? So now I gotta ask you, what do you think about the absolute mess Drake just created? What's the weirdest, wildest part of this whole thing to you? And more importantly, how do you feel about the way Drake has dragged the culture down to this disgusting low? For me, this has been exhausting to even watch unfold. And it makes me want to turn all this noise off, throw on some real rap, and just forget about Drake altogether. I'm also curious to see what voices like Jeff have to say about this chaos. Because trust me, the conversations are only getting louder from here. And if you made it this far in the video, it means you care about protecting hip-hop culture just as much as I do. So make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video to keep the truth alive. It helps a ton. And if you want to see how Drake was already hinting that he was about to crash out on Kendrick before this lawsuit even hit, his last live show gave it all away. Go check out the suggested video right now, because it connects all the dots.